All right, guys, this is the Charlie Vinch Show. Today I have on Stu Ramos. Stu is a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt. He's also a black belt in judo. And in my opinion, he's a black belt in stocks. So, Stu, without further ado, I want you to tell me, what is beef stew trading?
Beef stew trading. So basically, I've been a trader for a long time. I've been an investor. You and I have talked about that. But this beef stew trading, this whole thing, I started because I was watching my friend's kid. He was going through some things, and then they had asked if I could watch him. And me being, me, I said, sure. So when he was here, and the way my house operates, the way I steward my home is everybody works. Everybody works in my house, down to the dog. Everybody has a job. So when he came in, he wasn't used to that. Everybody has a job, everybody got to do something. And then in the mornings, I used to coach him judo and jiu-jitsu. Right. So it's a natural thing for me to kind of watch him. So he was asking me in the mornings, you see me go out into the kitchen, grab my coffee. A lot of you guys who have seen me trade, it's my routine, right? I go and get my coffee, I get my whatever avocado toast, and I walk back to my den, and I trade for like an hour and a half, and then I'm done. And he was like, what are you doing in there and stuff? I was like, I trade for a living. I don't only do the judo thing, but I trade for a living. And he said, I want to watch you trade. And I was like, no. And then as the weeks went on, I played online video games with him, tried to connect with him. And then finally, one of the videos of me trading, I think it was IPO. Bless you. It was IPO. And he said, hey, did you make like $100,000 in like 6 minutes? And I was like, yeah, but when you make it sound like that, it only makes it sound like I did 6 minutes of work. I was like, no, I've been following the road show. There's a lot that goes into it. He goes, oh, show me. And I was like, oh, okay. So I connected with him, and then, kids are on Discord for their gaming. And we did like Twitch. He wanted to Twitch me. He wanted people to watch me trade, but the Twitch wasn't that type of platform. The Twitch is more for a consistent gaming platform, and I only trade for a little while, so it didn't really work out. And so he wanted to reach his other friends and show them what his coach was doing. So I said, okay. So we started the beef stew trading as kind of like a joke, right? My friend Calais, when I was a kid, he gave me that name, beef stew, because I was always getting into a lot of fights. So because some people find jiu-jitsu and judo and whatever for enlightenment. I'm Hawaiian, man. I saw a better way to beat up people.
Nice.
So in the beginning, I was young, man. I was young. Like there was no UFC, there was no anything on, and all I saw was the Gracie in action one tape. I was like, that's a better way to beat up somebody, because I'm not the I'm a pretty bulky guy, but I'm not the tallest. I'm not physically standoffish or anything like that. So I saw that and I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna do that. So I created a basic trading platform, and then it all took off from there, man. And next thing I know, people are asking me for lessons, and I was already doing consulting work and stuff, but I don't hold a I used to be in the financial markets before, but I don't hold a Series 7 license or a 6365. I just I can teach you the mechanics of trading, and then with the kid and my own daughter, we started researching like YouTubers and stuff like that, and I was like, wait, all these YouTube guys and all these rise of the fake guru, right? All these marketing experts, I know you don't see them doing anything. They all say, I control $5 million in property. Well, you could probably also control $5 million of debt too. You know what I mean? That might be it. I go, no one's actually showing people how to trade a stock. And learning asset management. They're not showing you anything real. I think there's a very big lack of that, and the transparency. They don't actually see you do it, and it does matter. It's not like a pissy contest, but it does matter, you know, how much your account is worth, because you do different things. It's like a jiu-jitsu schools. The mechanics of a school that has 50 students, 200 students, 700 students, 1,000 students, those are all different businesses.
Yep.
There's certain things you do at 1,000 students that you can't do with 50 or won't do with 50. There's certain things you can do at 50 students that you can't do with 1,000 students.
Yeah.
And that's the same way of trading. Like my platforms that I use, you know, 5 different brokerages. You know, for those of them have seen me trade, I trade smaller accounts that are 5, 10, 20,000. Then I trade multi-million-dollar accounts, and I handle them differently in real time. But that's basically what it was, is that, you know, I started all of this to try to connect with a kid I was taking care of. And then it just really exploded. Now I'm doing radio shows and podcasts, and I'm kind of I'm kind of an introvert. I like people and stuff and friends, but I have a very small circle, and I don't, I'm not the type that's going to make it rain in a club on the weekend or anything like that. You know, this is my life. You know, I mean, I like to invest, and that's what I do with my time.
How long have you been trading for? How many years?
Since college, you know, I mean, at least 20 years. I mean, I actually trade back in the day when I used to have to call in. In fact, if you met in the group,
give me 1 second. I'm gonna unplug something so we can get more quiet. Hold on.
Premium coffee is a must.
Go ahead, Stu.
Yeah, I started trading back in the day in college. I started with when, you know, I had a job in the casino, and my boss, he used to trade, and I just see him going crazy at the screen and stuff, like yelling at Rambus and Oracle, JDSU back in the day, and I'm like, that's boring, because I was into when I grew up in Hawaii, so Hawaii has a strong social gambling presence in Hawaii. Pool, betting on sports, chicken fights and stuff, which I didn't do too much of. But you know, if you could bet on it in Hawaii, yeah, I was probably in it.
You can bet on it, you're in it.
Yeah, I'm in it, man. Like I used to bet on the you know, Thanksgiving Day television show that was going to be rated #1 and Nielsen rating and stuff like that back in the day. And this is back in the day when it was like Hill Street Blue and stuff back in the day.
So you've been trading for a while.
I've been trading for a while. I mean, I used to call it in. I used to call it in. I used to.
What year was that? What year did you have to call it in?
Well, yeah, 90.
Wow, so 90. So you've been doing this for over 10 years.
Yeah. But I wasn't. I wouldn't have called myself a trader back then. But I did put in trades. And back my mother had a broker, and he was a family friend, and we knew. And my mom would thank God my mom loved the stock market, because she saw us tell me, like, you know, one income is not enough, right? You know, don't roll yourself up to one income. But so I used to watch, you know, in back in the day, there was no robust online thing. You know, back in the day was those little pages in the newspaper. You have to get the magnifying glass out and start looking at the ticker symbols and the price. And by the time you do that, call it in, you're actually calling it into a market maker. They were actually determining the price of these things, right? So they were in there, you know, sizing it up. And for me, you know, I didn't have much money in the account. It was just more of a learning tool. I had to wait till I was in college to actually start trading stocks. And I traded early stocks like BlackBerry. I traded Bridgestone, Firestone. I traded JD Uniphase early on in Sprint. Before, just before 9/11, Sprint was like $2.12 or 26 cents, something like that.
Wow.
And IBM was like $86. This is really back in the day. So And a round trip was expensive. A round trip, I forget, had to have been $20 plus. That means to put in a trade, you'd pay 20, and the round trip would be 40. So you had to make sure that your trades were, yeah. And then I didn't know anybody that did options. Nobody did, because what I back in the day, the options. Now there's a lot of option traders, but back in the day, options were actually made for investors. Options were made for investors to take a short-term direction on the market. So say you had Tesla, right? And you had Tesla for 5 years, right? Then something happened to Tesla. They're going to take a gamble. They're going to acquire a company, and they were going to try to ramp it up. At that time, you said, okay, it might go down, right? It might go down. So if you think it might go down and you don't want to let go of your long-term shares, you could take an option out for a time horizon. There's two aspects for the option: is your strike price, right? And how long you're going to have the option for. So if this catalyst is coming on in 2 weeks and you want to make sure that it happens, you can take an option out for 2 or 3 weeks and say, I want the ability to control 100 shares, per contract, and then you use that for your direction, and it's called a hedge. You know what I mean? People are hedging up, and that now there's a lot of traders and options. I don't consider myself a professional option trader, but when I started the group, I had to dust off my books. I did scalps, option trades, swing trades. I read the SEC filings. I did everything so he could see everything. I wanted him to see everything, how all traders, and then I manage my own hedge fund, which my ideas are disruptive technologies and disruptive ideas. So it's a disruptive hedge fund. And then I manage my personal portfolio, and I do convertible notes, and I do hard money lending. So
wow, that's a lot there. So I assume, and we're both Brazilian Jiu Jitsu practitioners, and a lot of people that listen to this podcast are of martial arts practitioners.
Yeah.
Would you say when you had to show and dust off all those books and represent it to somebody, would you say the parallel is very similar to, say, you're the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, and now you have to go all the way back down to the white belt and say, okay, guys, these are the things that you can use belt wise and skill wise and technique wise to get to your black belt. And there's no one size that fits all, but you have to pick a path on which way that's going to get you there.
Well, I think, like, if you look at Brazilian Jiu Jitsu as a whole, right? You can kind of fall into two different silos, right? You have the ones that are more self-defense focused and orientated, and then you have sport, right? You can kind of fork it off. With trading, there's so much more, right? There's 401ks, there's IRAs, there's those aspect of taking advantage of the market. Then you can manage your own portfolio, and then you can day trade. Maybe buy some shares into something to see it's gonna go up, like my Zoom stock or whatnot. I don't know if jiu-jitsu or martial arts is the same parallels, but if I had to teach it, because I don't have to teach the stock market. I don't, and the money I make from the trading platform and all that stuff, I actually not a lot of people know this, but I actually donate it. I donate. Because I really didn't want to start a platform, but we all talk about this, right? You have to add a value to it, and if there's something of value, right?
Yeah.
And how does it look to somebody else? If you don't have to pay for it, right? You don't pay attention. People that pay attention.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the rough part that I had with it. But then, I can employ people like Erwin, Wes. I have a couple of girls that work the back end for it, So I actually, when people see Beef Stew Trade Platform, I built it out like a real big business. I have a back end, I have a compliance agent, I have the number gets crunched, and I spent a lot of time in it, so I had to charge them for it. With jiu-jitsu and judo, especially with judo, they don't figure it because the basics of judo was like these Japanese cultural centers, right? Back in the day, they used to go around, after the big war, they sent all their best students out to go develop martial arts for Japan, in mind. And, they sent Comp Como down to Brazil to do exactly that. It was a thing from the government, to show Japan was. So having that kind of background was hard for people to develop. That's why they struggle. They had a hard time developing a business out of it.
Right.
So, because of the basic underlying factor was not to make money, but, to show culture. It's not that way with the stock market. It's not that way.
The stock market is for the money, not for the show.
Yeah, like if you back in the day when I was consulting, if you wanted to get someone like me, even now, and you wanted me to come and evaluate your business and stuff, I'm not one of those marketing guys that have a marketing program and stuff. I have a real, educational background and stuff, and MBA and the whole 9 yards, right? If you wanted someone like me to come evaluate business, it's gonna cost like 10 grand.
What's your educational background?
I have I went to UNLV, Wharton grad, the whole 9 yards. I worked in it and stuff like that, and with the educational part, cause the reason why I don't like stressing that as much, because that puts people off right off the bat. They say, "Oh, you had all that education, I can't do it." No, you can absolutely do it. And, there's, from back home in Hawaii, there's this thing when we talk to other Hawaiians or other people from the island, and there's this big thing about private schools, being better than public schools. And, I'm on the Beef Stew training, and this one guy joined the group, and he's listening to me talk because, I've been right about Tesla, I've been right about Zoom, I've been right about, a lot of different things that would take you would think that I went to a private school growing up, and I didn't. I went to a public school, and I wasn't very good at it. I'd, probably go to school like on Wednesday because I take Friday off, have a long weekend, recovering, go to school half day Monday. So I was really rascal back in the day.
You're going against the grain.
Yeah, man. But it wasn't like what people would think. He thought that, automatically, oh, this guy makes a lot of money, he had to have gone to a private school. And no, right. I didn't. And I didn't know anyone that traded stocks growing up. I never knew a stockbroker.
Do you think that, from your experience right now and people that who are traders, do you think they need to go to a private school to be like, yeah, like I'm a good stock trader?
No. Education has caught us up through technology.
Is that it?
Keep that in mind. Education has really caught us up through technology.
Interesting.
Watch.
That's it.
Hey, Google, how much money's in the stock market?
On the website barons.com, they say, the huge run-up in stock prices has brought the total market capitalization of the Russell 3000 index, which covers 98.5% of the country's market capitalization, to $30 trillion, a staggering amount of money, according to a recent report
30
from
trillion.
the Spoke Investment Group.
Wow.
You know how long that question would have took to research back in the day?
Yeah.
Do I really need to know how to do math? Hey, Google, what's 178,000 times 1,200,000?
The answer is 178,035,600,000.
Hey, Google, take notes for me.
What's the note?
I'm having a good time with my friend, Charlie Vinch.
Saving note.
Technology has caught us up. What the fuck do I need to go to a private school for? It's right there.
Do you say, like, I always hear people say, and just tell me your honest opinion, because you went to Wharton, right? You graduated from Wharton.
Yeah, but that was because of my boss got me in there.
So even so, yeah. When you went to Wharton, you had some good connections. You were around some people who are probably going to be doing well off in life. Do you think that same parallel is going to work in the private school when a kid is growing up? Like it's around who you're hanging around.
There's a powerful saying that I used to hear when I was in school. It's called "Pigs don't know pigs stink," and it was basically the people you hang around. Like they always say, like, if you hang around 4 millionaires, you're gonna be the fifth.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they say that kind of shit all the time, and it is true. The power of people, association is very, very strong. But because I did the MBA thing and I wasn't barely there, and it wasn't like I got the full experience. I know like 3 guys, that went to school with, and you met him. I don't know if you met him in the group, but my friend, he's another banker, and he's one of my students in judo and stuff, and he's still on. He goes and he ran a big, huge hedge fund, an investment bank and stuff like that. And I didn't want to do that. I liked mergers and acquisitions, but that was more of law. And then I wanted to go do trade desk, but trade desk, there is none. People think that you work for a big investment bank or a big company, Morgan Stanley, and I think there's a bunch of sea of traders in there. That's done. They don't have that anymore. It's a bunch of computers. So the agility of being a trader, the ebb and flow of trading and researching stocks organically is actually really gone. There's not many. Yeah, see, back in the day, there were probably like 280 of them in a big house, a big company. Now they're probably like 30.
So then, what do people do to
those guys are just, the job is gone. That job is gone because you can control a lot of money now with a little people. Back in the day, banks. Yeah, back in the day, banks used to be huge. There used to be armies. Now there's like 2 windows and the thing. And go look at the new Chase banks. Chase has done research on this stuff. And Bank of America, look how big their banks are, right? They're trying to retool them because they're losing money hand and fist.
Why are they losing money?
Well, the whole thesis was, I wrote a thesis in college, and I got my first Palm Pilot. It was, I think it was May 10th, 96, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I went, and it was Maryland Parkway in Vegas. I bought a Palm Pilot, and I started using that thing, right? Tinkering with it. And then I was like, man, everything's going to be on this. It's access point. Because something to mind came back when I was a kid. I grew up in 3 TV stations, right? TV with the antenna. Yeah. And I was my dad's remote. Like, he'd be like, boy, change the channel. I change it to 3 things, right? I go there and change it. Okay, they call me back again. So he was the remote. So I remember my mom seeing the first TV with a remote to come out. We got it because we were all tired of changing that.
We're all tired of going up to the
We're all tired of that, right? And then it didn't dawn on me that memory came back when the Palm came out. When Palm came out and then BlackBerry, the little ball, when that came out, I was like, man, everything's going to go on these devices. And then bang, Apple came out. Yeah. Smartphone, right? All the little icons. Back then, so I bought Apple shares. Back then. Yeah.
Good investment.
Yeah, it was a very, very good investment. I got paid the splits and stuff like that. I got Microsoft at like $53 or something like that before all the splits. So I had Amazon stock, but I sold it. Because I was like,
today.
No, they wouldn't become profitable. They just wouldn't come. The guy, Jeff Bezos, is going to go down as one of the greatest investors because he invested in himself. The guy came out and just invested in himself, and he always reinvested the money. And then he only took on debt fairly recently, maybe 2010. It was very recent that he came on.
I didn't know that.
They didn't take on debt.
How did he run so lean without going in debt?
Yeah, I mean, that's what he did because he was still doing his imprint. And then only in the past 10 years have they really built out those big warehouses, the robotics. They bought 7 planes. So
how did he do it in the beginning though without going into debt?
In the beginning, he was just getting investors. He's just getting invested. And he's a very I don't want to call him charming, but you know, he has a certain way about him that he can, you know, show the vision. You know, tells everybody sit down, buckle in. This is not going to be something you're used to, and that you know, the investor after you watch money, it all becomes binary, right? It's all up and down. It's not you don't look laterally wise, and you're like, okay, what's my ROI and stuff. But after you get there's too many people out there because the printing press keeps going. Everybody has liquidity. I got to take my chances. So I've got to fund these ideas. I got to fund Pinterest. I got to fund Peloton, the $2,000 bike that doesn't go anywhere. You know,
you get a corner of your house.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's another clothes hanger.
Dude, people love it. They buy it up.
They buy it. I'm telling you. And then anything technology, anything forward looking has a subscription model to it, right? So even look at the subscription model that Tesla has. You can do over-the-air updates. You can do over-the-air upgrades. You can upgrade your car. You want another 100 horsepower, and it'll hit this button 1,000, and you put it next to your car, and then
like a video
boom, over the air. Yeah, it's crazy. Like for my car, I have a CLS MG to get it tuned. It's like $2,000-$3,000. Those guys can do $1,000 over the airway. It takes minutes.
And you don't even have to go in and waste
your time. You don't have to go in. I gotta sit there. You know what I mean? And they put it to the dyno, trap it down. I mean, it's 4-wheel drive, right? So there's only so many places they have, and it's not a very good customer experience. It's exciting, but the forward-thinking subscription models, and you're looking at disruptive technologies like Uber. They decimated the taxi service. They just trashed them out, but Uber's gonna
have low right now. Do you think they're gonna go back up high though? Uber?
Yeah. No.
Mm-mm. They're gonna stay where they are right now.
They went wide too fast, right? Because companies that come public nowadays, they're a lot different than companies that were going public back in the day. The companies that back in the day, you had to be profitable. They show profit. Like Goldman Sachs is a big company, and they've done 1 out of every 3 IPOs in the past 10 years that come NASDAQ. So back in the day, they brought like big companies, Morgan Stanley, Ford, Sears Roebuck, Toys R Us. They brought these big companies to the market, and the companies were profitable before they brought them to the market. The companies that they brought up recently in NASDAQ, they're in debt. They make money, and they don't have a profitability model. Because if you watch the interviews of like Levi Strauss coming to the market, they went New York Stock Exchange, but Peloton, Pinterest, Zoom, Chewy, CrowdStrike, Slack, all of these companies, they brought them, they go NASDAQ. They don't pay a dividend. They're millions of dollars in debt. I take that back, except for Slack. They had $833 million on their books. So they technically weren't broke. But all these companies, they just keep raising money. They have a different idea, raise money. Look at Netflix. You would think that company would be profitable now. It's not. They have 181 million active paying users, and they're not profitable.
Wow. So
how many?
So what are we looking at then, like for the listeners? Because a lot of people are like, what do you mean, Stu? They're not profitable. I thought that was a big company. I thought
it's huge.
What does it mean? Can you give our listeners kind of like I know it's the burn rate. Can you kind of break that down for people? What that is? People that don't understand.
I mean, I don't have any of those numbers in front of me. I know I got my coffee and the Charlie part. But if you look at all companies have to file quarterlies, right? And they're called Qs, 10 Qs. They're called quarterlies. There's 8 Qs, 10 Qs. There's S1s if they're going to come public. You have to read those things. It's just like your business. If you have a business and I tell you, hey, Charlie, how's your business going? And depends on what context, right? If your friend comes into your business and you talking in there, Charlie, how are you doing? And you're like, good, I'm doing well, whatever context wise, right? Yeah, we got some students. And then someone like me comes in, Charlie, how are you doing? I'm going to want you to get out your balance sheet, your income statement, your cash flow. I'm going to see last year's numbers, this year, how you're growing year over year, what your burn rates are. Are you effectively using your money? Your asset to debt ratio. If you take out the debt part is you investing. So every time you deploy $1 into debt, you get 2 back in assets. right? If you have employees, how is your employee ratio from when you was just you wearing all the hats, right? You start off your Charlie Vinch BJJ, you're the marketing, you're the president, you're the CEO, you're the accountant, you're everything. As you added employees, how did your revenues go up? What problems did they solve? So those are the kind of things that I'm going to want to see that stuff. And remember you're talking to me about these marketing companies and stuff. And I don't want to bash those guys, but they don't know shit. They don't know anything. They knew a better way for you to get customers or you to get ads or you. And the metric is N squared. There's two, right? N squared is the number of your net user base that is in your immediate area. The other one is addressable market. Now, their theory is, I don't know if they see it this way, but their theory is the bigger your addressable market, the bigger your footprint, right?
Right.
It is more likely for you to grab a customer.
Right.
Right. And then to get them, into your whatever, your funnel, and start moving them through your program. Right. And then, start pre-qualifying them, right? You get them to your funnel. What are they looking for? Okay. You're looking to lose weight. Okay. I have somebody that lost weight. We're going to hook them to there and get them into a program. What are you looking for? Self-defense. I have a self-defense guy. What are you? You have all these different silos that you kind of, I equate it to a pachinko machine. You see the ball run up to the pachinko machine and start coming down the pachinko machine, and it drops into all these like little silos. That's what you're basically doing, right? You're into these silos. And people want to convince you that they're experts at that shit. They're not.
They're not.
They're not. They're not experts at that. They just know more than you, right?
True.
That's it, right? I equate that to the that Catch Me If You Can guy. Yeah. He was one chapter ahead of the students at BYU University. He was a professor. He got a job as a professor. He knew nothing about it. He grabbed the book and he was just one chapter ahead of everybody else.
And that's all you have to be, right? In reality.
Well, he laughed about it. He didn't actually you've seen me challenge some of these YouTube traders. I do a lot of consulting for a lot of YouTube channels, but I've challenged a lot of YouTubers, straight up, trade with me for a week. You beat
investors.
Me. No, traders, because investors and traders are different.
All right. So these guys, you were saying traders, and we're talking about, for the listeners, the people who will inbox you on Instagram or Facebook, and they'll say like, hey, how are you? And then you're like, who is this? And they'll be like, I have this great opportunity about trading. All you have to do is give me $500 and you're going to make $30,000 a month. So like those guys, right? Yeah.
Those guys and the fucking SEO guys.
So these guys that are in my inbox that are telling me they're going to make me a millionaire, they're liars, you're telling me?
Well, I mean, they're not truthful in a way because they don't know. They don't know. I mean, you got to put the content out there. It's because it's look at a test, right? A test has a focus, right? It's like, that's why I didn't like education as a whole for schools the way they are nowadays, right? Because the only education that they know, it's so old school, where I'm going to give you a book, right? I'm going to give you a math book. And Charlie Vinch gives me back 90% in the math book. I grade him, I give him an A. The kid gives me back 80% in the book to give him a B. Give me back 70%, I give him a C. What have they learned? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, what have they learned, right? And then if I was to test them the year after they learned the stuff, right? Right? It was a year later, they won't remember any of that shit. I don't remember any of it. But you're going to remember when I told you to buy Tesla at $272 and now it's $880. You're going to remember that shit forever. When I told you to buy Zoom at $61.45, you're going to remember that forever, right?
Why is that? Why do people remember
because
that?
I appealed that to you, right? You have thought about something you missed out on that would be valuable in your future. You cannot stake, like I equated to my American history that I learned in 8th grade. When will I ever have used that or any of that knowledge to get ahead in my career, help me buy a house, help me purchase a car, right? How would I equate any of that? All that stuff that I took, home ec. I learned how to make a fucking pillow that looked like a penguin.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
Why do you think the school system still pushes this stuff?
It's so hard to change things. It's so
why
hard
do you
to
think
change
they're
things.
like, no, we can't change it. We need math, history, science, this, that. Why do you think we can't get kind of, as me and my wife think for my kid, like more kind of personalized when they get older? Like, okay, what direction do you want to go in? And then we'll put you somewhere or some program that's maybe more forward thinking. Like if you're into doing one thing, then we kind of put you in that path, right?
I don't know. It's hard to move. When I was a kid, there was in our neighborhood, it's called Little Home Road, and this one street, right? There was no traffic light at that street, and it was the most the left turn on there was a nightmare. So people were dying in that intersection for years. When that was when I was a kid. Finally, when I went back to Hawaii, last year, there was a traffic light in the intersection.
How long did
It
take to change?
25 years or something to actually finally put a traffic light at that damn light.
So we're making a parallel, right? People don't like change. Is that what it is? That's why the system won't change.
It's hard. I mean, like, I told my, because I have, it was kind of rare to have a jiu-jitsu black belt that had a judo black belt. It was kind of rare back in the day. I think, like I was talking to one of my good friends, Roddy Ferguson, who's done both at a high level, and we're talking about that. And it's so hard to change the mindsets. As you know me, I'm all about whatever works.
Sure.
Right? If you came in and you told me, oh, Stu, I'm an expert at this, and this, right? And, maybe you should try this. I am like, okay, I'm going to, if I see value in it,
Go for it, right?
Yeah, I'm there. One of my students, one of my first students was, Mike Stewart.
Yeah.
And I remember every single time, somebody would bash him because he came from a traditional, he was a ninja, dude.
Yeah, ninjutsu.
I didn't know anybody that did that shit.
I didn't even know it was real until I met him.
I was cool back in the day, man. Like I was like,
that shit.
Yeah, and I was that idiot, right? I was like, dude, do you throw smoke bombs and stuff like that? And he was looking at me like,
grappling hooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the climbing things and it's like, so I know I remember back in the day when he started, he was done with it. He's like, I felt like I've been lied to my whole life. I want to do the jiu-jitsu thing. And so I told him, I go, hey, just start small. Start with you and your brother and do this. And I was never he wanted to integrate. He had because it was pushback, because there wasn't it wasn't binary for these guys. It wasn't flip on, flip off. He had to scale in, because what a lot of those schools did good, which some schools don't do well in the jiu-jitsu community, is membership, enrollment, retention. They had a business model, right? I mean, you have to be a good, very good salesman to teach somebody to throw punches in front of a mirror and pay you for 15, 20 years. Yeah, I mean, it's hard because there's not a lot of substance in it, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of substance in it. And real life practicality, there is no real life practicality with it, right? So they had to make movies. So, I mean, for what it's worth, it had good discipline, and the highlights of it, your child is disciplined and good citizen. Everybody wants that. It's hard to disagree with that. You have to have some kind of bulletproof points that you want to attach your art to. And for us, it was just the more practical animal nature, right? Like, because the first Gracie film, it was antelope getting hunted down by a lion. So that, that's, already is flips. This is not your video where we're watching koi. This is more animalistic, and it's going to change in nature. And that education part was hard to teach. That was the hard to teach part.
Do you think that it was hard to teach because people weren't used to seeing it? But then don't you?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Do you think that people really started coming around on it? Because let's just look at history. Let's look at the Colosseum. They didn't build the Colosseum because they were playing patty cake in there. They built that because thousands of people wanted to watch violent things happen in front of them. And then when the UFC came out and the jiu-jitsu and the violent came out, people wanted to almost say no because it's too taboo. But then it became a little bit more mainstream. And then they were like, okay, I guess everybody else said it's okay to like it now. Now I'm going to like it.
Look what it costed him. It's kind of like when I was an early investor, in Chipotle. If you know my story about that, I shorted them. And then early in Boston market, Dunkin' Donuts back in the day. So those things, the number one challenge was education, right? Chipotle, the burrito bowl. They had to teach you how to make the burrito bowl. They had to teach you how to pick your wrapper, your bowl, your wrapper, pick your protein, rice, no rice, and then, move it along. You had to make the choices. So you kind of felt like you're involved in the cooking, and that kind of resonated, right? I'm going to try this today. So you had felt some kind of power. Yep, I'm not going to do lettuce. Yeah. I'm going to do more sour cream. And even though I know it's going to pump my cholesterol up or, whatever, right? You're more involved in it, and they teach you. That educational process could have made or broke Chipotle because it's expensive.
And it was learnable, right?
It was learnable. You got to break it down steps. It's only 4 steps. It ain't 5. It ain't 6.
4 is too much, right?
Yeah. Well, you have to group things in 3 or 4. You know what I mean?
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Do you know who does 3 or 4 for our listeners who I think that maybe you like them. I don't know if you like them as a company or not, but Southwest, they'll always have 3 options. It's never 5 or 6 or 2 or 1. It's always 3.
Yep.
Why?
And look at the stock market. We give you duopoly.
Why?
We give you.
Mind?
Yeah,
Why
because
like that?
Well, the fork in the road, right? From the beginning of time, the fork in the road, right? You pick this way, pick that way, and it's a kind of an all-in mentality. Zero sum. I'm gonna go this way. You're gonna go that way, right? Who's right? Flipping a coin. So that's why, like duopoly. For example, Burger King and McDonald's. Coke and Pepsi. In stocks, it would be Airbus and Boeing. Those are the 2 big ones. But nowadays we have the win all mentality, like FANG, Facebook, no competition. Amazon, no competition. Google, no competition.
Apple.
Netflix, no competition. People always telling me like, hey, Disney Plus, right? I feel about this. Like, Disney Plus is the Netflix killer. I go, oh, okay, right? It's not even close.
No.
All of the subscription they get, nobody paid. They got it free from Verizon. They got a deal. And where's their library? Look at how robust the library for Netflix is. It is ridiculous. They have so much, and in the thing, it cuts off the credits, and I can skip the intro, all that little things. It makes my customer experience a little bit better. It continues to get on, and I pay for that. Before, the Netflix subscription was $3.95 when it first came out. Netflix subscription. Now it's like $14-15, and if you want 4K, it's scaling the 4K. You have to pay more. So I like that. Those are the things that's resonating the most to me is duopolies and who's gonna win, like this airlines thing right here. And from the beginning, even before when the COVID, when they said everybody stayed at home, what did Stu do? I went out there, shorted all the airlines, shorted all the hotels, anything that had people and movements in it. I shorted Scion Group. That had Scion Group is a big group that they hold paper for restaurants in malls and PMT. I shorted them. So all this thing fit into my thesis of stay at home. The world's gonna stop. Well, when the world stops, bills continue to happen, right? Bills continue. So which ones aren't going to be able to pay their bills? The ones that have no customers, and square number comes on again. Addressable market comes again. So these are the metrics that as a business owner, you must sit down and learn it. There's no easy way to digest this stuff.
There's no quick fix. There's no silver bullet.
Nope.
So let's talk about going in this direction now, that because we're talking about like the money in, the money out, the COVID thing, people are staying home.
Yep.
Right now, Stu, there are riots and looting going on. How does that affect our economy in America, or maybe even worldwide, however you're thinking about it? How does that affect our future even more now than stay at home from COVID and things being shut down, and stocks? Like, how do you see that?
Well, stocks as a whole, like the stock market is opinions, right? It's the world's biggest voting booth.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I think you're doing a good job and I think you're going to be profitable and make money, I put money in there and it goes up, right? When you start looking at these crises coming on, right? You have to look at the mentality of the people, right? And everybody's taking a tally of how we handled the crisis. People can't even stay home, for a few months without going crazy. But those are the same people that, want life sentences. They want to, you can't even stay in your own house, right? You can't even stay in your own house for 3 months, but you want this secretary that, took 10 grand to spend 7 years in jail, right? Taking $10,000, right? So, I look at that as the equation. The whole thing went nuts. So you have to, and people, everybody does crisis in their own way, right? Everybody does it in their own way. Some people went and they bought a whole bunch of toilet paper,
mm-hmm.
right? Some people went and they went to go check their bank accounts and they went to go shore up their finances. Some people took it as a pause, right? And they just started drinking and yes, it's like a vacation.
Like a vacation.
They started like a vacation. They started playing video games, dusting off the Xbox and stuff like that. And there's people like us. I was like, I have time. I did that course from Harvard, the FinTech course. I did the AI course from MIT. I started taking a little bit of Russian. I learned Mandarin. So now I speak 9 languages. Wow. So there's people that handle crisis in their own way. I took it as an opportunity for more free time to myself, right? So I can level up. I can tool up. A lot of people took to Twitter and just spilled out their all their thoughts, and Facebook, and then every little thing that came out, everybody had a bias, right? And there's kind of some people Second Amendment guys, people that want individual rights, but they don't want to, just because they don't want to wear a mask, right? And now they care about individual rights, but they don't care about individual rights about our business owners, right? And our business is getting smashed. They don't care about that, but I don't want to wear this mask, right? And yeah, and it's funny that then 40 million people are out of work, which I think that number is small.
That's the number.
I think we've lost half the jobs in the United States. Because look at the money.
How's that going to affect us for the future? And even with this rioting, looting right now, how is that going to affect our future here in the economy, Stu? Where do you see this going in America?
Well, kind of what I'm getting at is that the economy, when you talk about gross national product, the GDP measures transactions between business to business, people to people, and the amount of transactions that happen in the United States. Okay, so say you have a big pot of transactions. If half the people in that transaction pot lose their jobs, how many transactions does it shrink? Right. I'm not at home. I don't look at just my daily life. I leave here, I go to Starbucks, I go view my properties, I go I eat at the diner, right? I tip my waitress, right? I get out, I use my car, and I spend money. And everybody that I visit, like my barbershop, that guy, he goes out there. So if I stop going out, right? I stop going out and spending money. Look at how many people that it affects.
Right.
It affects every, so there's less transactions. And now the people that are holding on to their business, if you go over there and they're already in debt, right? There's no business that are profitable. If you're buying stocks today, you're not buying stocks today because you think the economy is coming back this year. in the beginning, I told you, right? It was a $3.5 trillion that they were gonna have to put into the economy. We can roll it back, but like the day it came out, yeah, remember that, Charlie? Like, the day it came out, I'm like $3.5 trillion. Look at it now. What is it? $3.5 trillion.
$3.5 trillion.
Look how long it took them to get to that number. They were insane. It took me about a week to crunch the numbers and come up with $3.5 trillion, and it's only happening now. So look at the lag. You know, people are lagging behind, and they're destroying the companies, destroying the businesses. When you want to go back to work, right? Say you worked at the mall. How are you going to go back to work at the mall? And people, there's accounting firms that wash the money for the wall. There's banks that take in money from the small businesses. There's corporate headquarters in other states that manage that stuff. There's security guards, cashiers. Cashiers and truck drivers are still the #1 job in the United States.
Wow.
Those two industries are going to be automated out. Wow. But they don't need to be automated out if you go and fucking destroy the mall.
Yeah,
so
wow.
These people, I mean, as you look at just the raw destruction of things, it is absolutely stupid. You are not helping anyone by destroying something. And I know the crisis now is real.
Sure.
Right? It is real. People that discount it and say, oh, they're just mad about this. No, they're dying. They're dying. There is a systemic problem in our society, the way certain groups get treated. There's a systemic problem. And being brown, you know, even that, no, and then I have no group to identify with, right? I didn't come on I didn't come on a boat. I came on a canoe. You know, it's a little bit different, and I don't fit into the secret handshake club. But the only thing that's the equalizer is money. Money's the equalizer. I push this key to go buy this stock. It doesn't know if I'm black, white, brown.
Doesn't care.
It doesn't know. And you see it. I do it live every day. So I found a way to express myself through a business, through the way to get money. And then in my personal life, I give a lot of it away. I support like a lot of different charitable contributions and stuff like that. And that's just me. You know, that's what I do. Some people go out and buy Lamborghinis and stuff like that, and go make it rain, go get a yacht in Florida and whatnot. No, I'm not really into that. Plus, my back hurts, so that it wouldn't. I wouldn't be any fun anyway. But now, you know, looting. I mean, that's gotta stop, right? That's gotta stop. I mean, we have to find a way that we can get above all that, you know, because that's not going to help you. It's not going to help me. We lose all our credibility once we take the violent road. And so people, you know, like say they want to go and violently, you know, beat these protesters down. That's the problem. That's the problem. You know, that is the problem. That the only solution that you see is violence. Mm-hmm. So don't get mad when a violent reaction comes out, because that's what you taught them.
Interesting. That's
what you taught them. You taught them, like, if you get out of line so much, you know, you bring a rock, you know, I bring a bat. You bring a bat, I bring a knife. You bring a knife, I bring a gun. Right, you bring a gun, I bring a bigger gun. You bring another bigger gun, I bring more people with guns. I'll bring a fucking tank. That's what you taught them. I mean, you taught them that. So don't get upset when that happens. I mean, it's your fault, you know. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. I mean, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
So what would you, Stu, in your mind, in your personal opinion, what should we do as a community to stop the looting?
That's one of those things, right? It's kind of like I deal with that question all the time at training. You know, what's the one stock I'm getting into? Everybody wants to dumb it down to a switch. It's not a switch. It's complex. It's a switchboard.
Right.
You have to fix the aggregates, right? So when a stock tanks, right, and everybody says they try to put it on one thing, right? Oh man, a stock tank. Why? Oh, because, you know, their company sucks. Okay, is that enough to trade it? So I'm only gonna go attack the market with suck and no suck.
Right.
You know, that's not a very good way to see it. I have to read the balance sheet. I have to read the aggregates. I have to, you know, see what the product, the price, the placement, the people. I have to see all these things that are involved in stuff. And, you know, I'm no expert on that, on how to fix this kind of problem. I've never studied it to any length. And I honestly don't know the solution. I know what I can do as a person, how to steward myself. You know, I mean, you don't see me out there rioting or trying to stop, or, you know, I see, you know, God bless them. I see John Jones and Chuck Liddell. They're out there like,
Yeah.
oh, bro, you know, I get it. You know, I get it. I understand your stuff, but let's calm the hell down, because this ain't it.
Right. It's gonna make
And they flat out said, hey, Chuck Liddell said, shit, I don't know the answer, but I know smashing this guy's small business ain't gonna solve your problem.
No,
And just give him you know, and that's a great message. And like I said, everybody handles crisis in their own way. They felt the need to go out there, and then you see like these celebrities, they're like, oh, we're gonna pay the we're gonna pay the bill on people getting arrested and stuff like that.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, man. Justin Timberlake that fucker went on Twitter and said, yeah, I'll pay for the you know, all these looters that are getting arrested and stuff.
Yeah, to violence.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I was like, they don't get it. You know, I say everybody does crisis in their own way, you know what I mean? And that is so important. When you see people, there is no forward thinking. You know, maybe we should sit down and have a conversation. We should, you know, they should have aired the brother of that Floyd, and he had some really nice things to say. Like, look, man, if you're more upset over this than me, there's something wrong with you.
That's a good.
You don't see me, yeah. If you don't see me going out there and getting violent, he goes like, I've lost the most. That was my brother got killed. I lost the most. And I'm like, he's right. Why am I mean, I know there's a lot of it, and, you know, there's a trigger point. Everybody has a threshold for violence. Everybody has a threshold for violence. Sure. Right? So his threshold, you know, he was saying like, you know, this is a bigger problem than I. And it's hard because when I look at those things, it's kind of like when I look at Uber, right? Uber I like because it's disrupting technology, but then they tried to be everything to everyone, and then you please nobody. Like, if I'm gonna start a business, I'm gonna start a tea shop, you know, I serve hot tea, I have a customer. I serve ice cold tea, iced tea, I have a customer. If I go out there serving lukewarm tea, I lose everybody. Right. I lose them both because, you know, I didn't put any effort to make it cold or to make it hot. I didn't put any effort, right? So when you go out there and you try to be, you know, something to everybody, you lose them because it shows no effort. You have to take a stance, and, you know, whether it's good or bad. I mean, I know some people are really polarized, or president, because, you know, you look like you have to. He makes you feel like you have to pick left or right, and, you know, he's, you know, picking right. So, you know, I don't vote because I don't think it's very effective. You know, if voting is so fucking important and so effective, we would do it more often.
I think that's a really good point. When I first heard you say that, I was like, that makes total sense. If something's really important, we should do it more.
Yeah. When do we do it? Right? Every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
One check and then send it in.
Wow. Yeah.
How smart is
your doctor getting, you know, doing only surgery for a certain amount of time and then not having to recertify, or RN not having to recertify after a certain amount of time.
Or a school teacher not having to recertify after a certain of time.
Yeah, I mean, all of that, right? If it's important, we should do it more.
It's like, when something happens that's good in your life, right? You do fucking all the time. Like, I bought this coffee machine.
I saw that coffee machine. Do you like it?
Yeah,
Does
man.
It beat going to Starbucks though? Does it beat the customer experience?
Oh, well, the customer experience, and let me get this straight. The customer experience of me going to Costco is gone. The customer experience of me going to the restaurant is gone. This social distancing shit, man. You know,
how about when it's
I don't want to go to a fine dining restaurant like Capitol Grill, have $1,000 bill, and wear my fucking face mask.
Fuck that. I'm with
No way. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. If I can't, in 6 feet, okay, what if the table's 5'9" away from me? Am I more likely? I mean, I don't know. I like private dining. I could do that, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it, but those are my internal feelings, right? Those are the things. I do comply. I do wear the face mask,
Sure.
and in public, I don't dismiss it. And I'm not dismissive for continuity, right?
Yeah.
Because it could make people panic. It could make, and I don't want one of my ignorant actions to affect the many. So I'm not gonna go out there and be a rebel and take my face mask off. I don't want to wear it. Fuck you guys. I have a doctor's note.
Right, and you're like,
yeah. What does that have to do with my 70-year-old grandmother over here that has to come to the store and grab these meds? You know what I mean? So I'm not doing that. I have a lot of personal feelings about it. But, if my governor, and I know a lot of people, like we know a lot of people that are just operating in their studios because everybody does crisis in their own way. If they can't wrap their head around the global crisis, they can't extrapolate the data and they can't take themselves out of the me thing, then they'll just keep running their business, right? And they probably do it at a rate that maybe is a little safer than they did do it. But if you admit that, if you did implement some kind of safety precautions, then you should have closed.
Yeah. In the beginning, of course.
You should have closed. But everybody does crisis in their way. I'm not going to tell anybody how to operate you and yours. You know what I mean? Everybody, it has to do what they feel is going to be best for their livelihoods.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, everybody's different, man. I'm telling you, and I'm not judging it. Like I have friends that close their business down cold in this way, and they're like, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I've lent money to, and then there's others that said, fuck it, I don't believe it's fake news. I'm gonna go operate it. And then I'm still friends with them too. I mean, I don't, that's their thing. If they're in their market. I mean, how exposed is somebody like my friend Terry? One of my students moved to this neighborhood in like rural Indiana. Like he bought a tractor, old school tractor with fucking big wheels, and he's tilling and stuff like that. Yeah. Social distancing. Yeah, he's practicing social distancing. He doesn't live by anybody. It's like
perfect.
Yeah, perfect, right? So I don't know. I believe more like in individual rights. You know what I mean? Like in proper stewarding of that. But I don't know. We're in a landscape right now that people. There's a lot of uncertainty. People are suffering. They're hurting. Their livelihoods are at ease, and they're not going to the right sources for information.
So, and being on that everybody's crisis in their own way, and there's a lot of people hurting right now, Stu, what would you say to our listeners, we'll say for financial stuff or any kind of investing or whatever, if you want to give that kind of advice, what would you say to like if somebody's like to you right now, they're like this, Stu, I need this certain kind of stock. I need you to tell me about this stock, or I need you to tell me what to invest in right now, because right now I'm hurting and I need to know what I need to do for the future. What would you tell that person? What's the advice you give to that?
Well, spoon feeding somebody a way out is the worst thing you can do.
Okay.
You can't spoon feed them. If you're not educated, right? It doesn't matter if it's school or anything. I'm just talking about education as a whole. If you don't get educated, you will be at the mercy of someone that did.
So we need to get self-educated. Is that what you're talking about? You
have to get educated, man. You got to level up.
So what should they do to level up, Stu? Like what should we're talking about the average person who has like never read a book, outside of school, who has a 9-to-5, who, on their free time, all they do is browse Instagram and Facebook and they watch Netflix. Like they don't know the first thing about investing in something. What does that person do?
Well, education has caught us up, and in the future, I don't even think people are going to read anymore. Reading's going to be done. Well, look at it now. Is there more people on YouTube or in the library?
Dude, YouTube and Audible. I don't even read books. I just listen on
Yeah,
Audible.
I mean, I think reading's going to be done. Phone numbers are going to be done. When's the last time you dialed a phone number?
Interesting.
I mean, it's this type of forward thinking. Like you have to be able to get out of your comfort zone and take on a new task, right? How
did somebody do that? You suggest that if somebody doesn't do martial arts, that they should do it to get out of their comfort zone to help them do that in other areas?
That would help. I think where I grew up in Hawaii, right? So you have to learn how to swim. You have to. Every person you're surrounded by freaking water. The chances of you dying and drowning are high.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by water.
You don't know how to swim. You're shit out of luck.
Well, what's the swimming of today?
Is this a
It's
trick
jiu-jitsu.
question?
It's
What's the
jiu-jitsu.
swimming of today? Jiu-jitsu. I like that. The modern
swimming-
day swimming is jiu-jitsu.
Swimming, it ain't lacrosse. Sure as hell ain't baseball.
That's true.
It's jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is the swimming of today. And you have to teach your kid how to defend themselves. Whether you like it or not, whether you think that, you know, you're a pacifist and you're all that, right? You know, just take it for you want to be one of those people in the mask and go out there and your whole thing. There's professional riders, right? These guys they have channels and all that stuff. Well, that guy should have took some jiu-jitsu classes because I've seen how some of these people ride. I was like, they're the most unathletic things on the planet. And, you know, I know you're out there, you think you're fighting a cause, but go learn how to fight it well.
Yeah.
Put some time in the match, bro. Bring you in your riot squad, and we'll give you a discount.
So they need to get educated and self-invest. So let's see if we can break it down, because I know people are going to send me messages later, or they're going to blow you up.
We're going to get the hate.
Listen, they're going to be like, you didn't tell me what the secret was. So let's give them some action steps.
Here's the secret, right? You have to look at somebody that has a life that you want that you don't have, right?
Okay, we always talk about this. Model somebody who already has the life that you want. Okay, yeah. Keep going.
Right. So there's a few steps to it, right? And then, you know, see what they do, and, you know, and if you can relate to it, you know, what somebody else did, you can do, right? That's the thing, right? Somebody else did. If you want to learn how to invest, go listen to some investors. There's a lot of books. There's one that has nothing to do with trading, but it's called The Long Tail. It was about kind of like Amazon. It was about how marketing is and stuff like that. That's really good. That can relate to jiu-jitsu. I read some Jocko Willink books in The Warrior. What was it called? The Warrior Kid or something like that. And it was really good. And, you know, some of his stuff is good. Personal, you know, empowerment and all that kind of, yeah. So and then you go start something simple. There's this kid that has a YouTube channel, and that he covers like credit rating. You know, he's a real estate investor. He invests some in the stock market. I think his name's Graham Stephan.
Graham Stephan. Okay.
Yeah, Graham Stephan. You can go to his channel. He has some good things on there. But the thing about when you're out there, you're hungry and you're searching for knowledge, because this is kind of why that, you know, I would like them to join my group. We direct them in the right direction and stuff like that, because they're susceptible to a lot of things. They'll start getting into Forex trading, or they join an option group and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, those things aren't built. Those things are built to sell you stuff. They're not built to teach you stuff.
Interesting.
You know, because I don't want to spoon feed anybody information and knowledge, because, you know, what have you learned? What was the discipline involved in getting that information? There was no discipline involved. I just gave it to you, and it's not worth anything. It's like jiu-jitsu. You know, all these clowns from back in the day were putting on black belts, and people started calling them out, right? And you know, they were like, "Oh, this guy can't stand up in base. Or this guy doesn't know how to properly, you know, put a grip on. Or this guy doesn't know how to grip, you know." And then they were like, "Wait, are you really?" And then they started getting exposed, right? So that happens a lot in my industry. And, you know, the fastest way for me to get by all that shit was to show my account and let them watch me trade every single day for a year. I've been trading live every day. And look at the students that we have. I have John Hopkins doctors, Fortune 500 lawyers. Two of my friends are billionaires. They're in the group.
Billionaires. They're billionaires.
Yeah, they're billionaires.
Billionaires.
Yeah, Howard and Francis. Those guys are billionaires. And then I have the, you know,
all from trading, or for
no, they're in fact, I don't know any billionaires from trading. You know what I mean? I don't know any, because to get to that level, you have to align with more than one business.
Right.
Those guys it's not actually, you know, IPOing and, you know, becoming a billionaire in stocks, you know, stock worth is a lot different than the old school guys who did construction invested in real estate, bought businesses and funded this, and collectively got $1 billion, because that thing's solid. You don't see it, like Mars Bar or L'Oreal or L Brands, those fashion type of billionaires. Their empire is built pretty solid.
Like on straight cash, like Dan Pena always talks about. I know that you're not like a huge fan of him, but
he's okay. I mean, he's just loud.
He always talks about. He said recently, listen, right now, everybody who thought they were a baller and big time shot caller, he didn't say exactly that. He goes, if you think you're big time, right now is the time to say if you are big time or not. He goes, because everybody's going to be running for the woods and I'm not, because I'm sitting on a fuck ton of cash right now and cash is king.
Yeah.
And that's what he says. He said, I got a bunch of cash. Everybody else has debt and fake assets.
Remember, I said last year that I was moving to cash, and I had well, for me, I have a lot of money, cash set aside, because this is not over. I mean, the first turn down was everybody stopping, right? It was the whole world came to a stop, stock market stopped. When things stop, they go down, right? So there was a W-shaped recovery, which means people that still had liquidity bought a little bit and it went down again, and then it started to climb up. The NASDAQ is only at a 5% discount after this COVID crisis, but
it's gonna bounce.
Yeah, I mean, the average credit card balance is 6,000. The default rates of homes are gonna go up because people lost their jobs. 40 million people out of work. Forbearance. There's 4 million people that 4 million people right now that aren't paying their mortgages, and it was 3.8 in the crisis, and 838,000 people that defaulted on their mortgages, and it crashed the economy. We did front load some levers from the last crisis, and Ben Bernanke wrote that playbook on that, how to front load the crisis, and they're playing the playbook out. But the playbook, this is going to be a $10 trillion problem. Remember when they were like, no, nobody's going to get bailed out. I was like, no, 3.5 trillion in the beginning. It's going to be $10 trillion. It's going to be 4 bailouts, and they might not all happen in succession. There'll be 1, there'll be 2 next year in the beginning after all these houses crash and nobody can't pay the mortgages, and then the housing market's going to go up, rents are going to go up. People are going to rent out houses, and they're going to put in stupid shit like you can't evict them for a year, right? And they're not going to be able to pay. So that paper is going to get walked back. A1, A2 paper is going to get walked back, and that's going to default too. So this is going to happen again next year, because we still didn't solve the problem where we should have raised interest rates, and we should have let it crash on some, we should have let it naturally let the markets correct itself. We didn't. We just kept fucking. What fear do you have if the Uncle Sam keeps fucking printing the money? Printing the money.
0% interest on borrowed money. What fear do you have?
No, it's negative. It's negative interest. I already showed that. Yeah, I already showed it. But negative interest doesn't mean, look, people. Negative interest does not mean that your credit card is going to start paying you for spending money. That is not it. We're not going to. It's 0% interest now, and mortgages at like 2.66 to 3.6. So forget that idea that you're going to get paid to spend money on negative interest. That will never happen. I don't like to talk absolutes.
I thought that was going to happen.
No, sorry. No, you guys are not going to get paid to spend money. But they are going to charge you to have bank accounts. They are going to make fees higher. If you look at the breakdown of American Express, interest, but that's small part. Fee structures, processing fees. I think the average right now is 2.5 to like 3-4%. Depends on what kind of processing you use. Is how they make money. They're not going to get away from that, and they're not going to start paying you.
They're going to bump it up, maybe.
Yeah, they're going to bump it up.
Wow. All right, man. So we're ready to end this session. This has been so informative for our listeners. I know you have to go and do stuff. But before we end, this is a question I ask everybody at the end of the session is, what to you, I'm coming out with my own course. It's called the Black Belt Mindset course, okay? And in the Black Belt Mindset course, I always ask people, to you, what does having a Black Belt mindset mean in your own words?
Oh, interesting.
You're a double black belt.
Yeah, what it mean to me is that it's just validation, validation of your hard work, that you can do it. Like if you stick with it long enough and you put enough effort into it, that's the result, right? And people that are crying about, I think, I should have been a purple belt because I tapped out 3 purple belts, you know what I mean? So I should be a purple belt too, that's the wrong mindset. That's the wrong mindset. And Stuart didn't go here, and he didn't have to go through this struggle because my dad's a doctor and my mom ran a business, so I didn't have a lot of those struggles going on. He didn't struggle as much as I did. Oh, okay. Everybody has a different starting point, but the end result, getting your black belt, right? Getting your degree, getting to a position where you have 0 credit debt. Some people, they don't even want to get rich. They don't want to get rich. They just want to be able to pay their bills. Like, forget being a millionaire. I just want to have this credit card bill gone. I want to have this student loan gone. So I think that being a black belt for me is just like the validation that it shows. Like, if you work hard, plan out your work, your plan, you'll get there.
Cool, man. Excellent way to end. Thanks so much for coming on. And
thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. If you have any rocks or stones to throw, please don't throw them at a small business.
All right, excellent. And where can people find you?
Well, we're on Facebook. I have a group. It's called Beef Stew Training, STU. I'm on Instagram under Beef Stew Training. I don't have much social media presence and all that kind of stuff. So I have a lot of it, but I do make myself available. I'm active. I have an active Discord. I do teach a course in investing and trading. I teach how to get your credit score up, how to buy your first stock, how to start a little portfolio, and then the mechanics of trading. So if you're interested in that, come join the group. Come shoot me a message. Or Charlie has a course. Shoot Charlie a message, and everybody's welcome.
You guys gonna blow me up.
Yeah.
All right, I will do. All right, Stu.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.